Okay, so perimeter. So in this program, it says we need to be able to know the perimeter of circles, sectors of circles, triangles, rectangles, parallelograms, and composites. Okay, so they're the shapes I'm going to make sure that you know about. But the word composites is the main one there. If you look at the last word, it says composites. What does composites mean? Yeah? Good. It's a shape made up of two or more different shapes, or a shape made up of a shape with another shape taken out of it. So we need to know those shapes, but we also need to know how to add shapes together and subtract them. And by adding in that word composites, it kind of means they could give you any shape as long as they're made up of different shapes. So just be aware of that, because sometimes people sort of go, oh, I only need to know this, this, and this, and then suddenly they get a semicircle with on top of a square with a triangle out the side and a parallelogram taken out of it, and they go, what is that? But as long as you can sort of cut it into the shapes we know, you're okay. All right, so what does perimeter mean? The outside of the shape. Okay, so perimeter, I never know how to spell it, whether it's ER or RE, but anyway, I'm not an English teacher. I have been teaching this for a very long time, but we'll learn. Actually, do you know what? I could check it, couldn't I? Perimeter, I did it right, perfect. Okay, perimeter. The distance around the outside of a shape, or the length, okay? What measurement do we use perimeter for? Like what sort of measurements can we use? Centimeters, meters. What else? Meters, centimeters, kilometers. Oh, micrometers, millimeters usually, okay? So if we look at length conversions quickly, we are going to do this quite a bit for all the different shapes. We need to be able to convert between different lengths. So if we go millimeters to centimeters to meters to kilometers, who says kilometers and who says kilometers? Kilometers? There was a whole news article the other day about the different, how people say it. Anyway, I think it was a slow news day. All right, if you remember this what we're about to draw, your conversions for area will be easy. Your conversions for volume will be easy as long as you can remember this one. Okay, the rest is quite simple as long as you understand it. So we've got millimeters, we've got centimeters. Everyone knows what those measurements are. Millimeters, very little. How many millimeters are there in a centimeter? 10. All right, so if I wanted to convert from millimeters, actually we'll go from centimeters to millimeters. If I had 1 centimeter and I wanted to go 2 millimeters, what would I have to do? If I had 1 centimeter times by 10, have a think about it. If you've got a centimeter and you're going to a smaller one, the number's going to get bigger. So if I've got 3 centimeters, if I times that by 10, I'm going to end up with 30 millimeters. But you need to be aware of that. The times 10 is important. So therefore, if I'm going the other way, divide by 10. Now, if you ever get stuck with any conversions, always try and just do this table. Do it on the corner of your page, and it will help you. All right, so how many centimeters are there in a meter? 100. Okay, so if I've got 1 meter and I need to get to centimeters, what am I going to do to it? I'm going to times by 100. So this time I go times by 100. So all the way down the bottom are times, and on the top would be divide. And then kilometers to meters, what number? 1,000. So if we don't have a calculator and you get asked to do these conversions, how do you move things without, what do we do? We move the decimal place. So if I said I had, say, how about we try a couple of examples? Convert 3.2 meters to centimeters. what am I going to have to do? I'm going to have to move the decimal place how many places? So good. If I go from meters to centimeters, we're saying times by 100. Now, if we're timesing by 100, we're moving the decimal place to the which direction? How do we make this number bigger? We move the decimal place which way? To the right, okay? So we move the DP how many places? If you count how many zeros there are there, that's how many places that you're going to move it. So how many places are there? 2. So move the decimal place 2 places to the right. The other way you can think about it is you go, okay, I've got 3 meters. There's 100 centimeters. So therefore I'm going to have 300 centimeters in there. And so you can then go 300 and then the 20 as well. So what I mean by 2 decimal places to the right is that we go from 3.2, we go 1, 2. So our decimal place ends up being here instead. And so we end up with 320 centimeters. It doesn't mean you add 2 zeros on. It does if it's a whole number. But if there's a decimal place, it's actually about moving the decimal place. It's not about just adding on zeros. However, the number of places you move has to do with how many zeros you're multiplying by. So let's try this one. So 83,421 metres, 2 kilometres. What are we doing this time? Good, we're going to move the decimal place to the left by how many places? 3 times, because we're actually dividing by 1,000. Now, if you have a calculator, you can just go divide by 1,000. However, it's probably easier to actually just know. So this means left 3 decimal places because of the 3 zeros. So that means this number, where's the decimal place right now? It's after the 1. It's not there. Like you can't see it, but it's after that. So wherever the 1s are. So we're going to go from here to 1, 2, 3, 4. No, not 4, 3, sorry. 1, 2, 3. And so we end up with 83.421 kilometres. Don't round unless they ask you to with this stuff. Just leave it as they go. Any questions on that? Yes.
What do you do if like asks you to go from
Okay, so if it asks you to go from millimetres to kilometres, you can either go the first one, you can go through it in steps, or you can actually just go through and add the zeros together because that's how many places you're going to move. So I'll show you an example. All right, so what if we said, oh, you have to use a really big number? That's right. Let's just go 3 with 9 zeros. Millimetres to metres. Okay, so there's 9 zeros there. What number is that? 1,000, million, billion, trillion. No, billion. It's a billion. 3 billion. Pardon? Did you have a question? Did you say something? No? Okay, doesn't matter. It's fine. All right, so let's do it step by step and then we'll see if we can do it in one step. Okay, so the first thing we'd do is go from millimetres to centimetres. So what would we have to do? Millimetres to centimetres. Divide by 10. Yeah? millimeters. So you're looking at millimeters, centimeters, divide by 10. So we end up with 3 and then 8 zeros because we're just moving the decimal place one spot. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's how many centimeters there are. Everyone see that? Okay, so then after, so that's we divided by 10. Then we go to meters. So how many meters? How do we go from centimeters to meters? We divide by 100. So just by the way, we went 1 dp left. How many movements are we going to go for divide by 100? 2. So we're going to go 2 dp's to the left. So we're going 1, 2. So we end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got 3 million meters. How do we then get to kilometers? We're going to divide by 1,000, which means moving how many places? 3 dp's to the left. Okay, so we end up with 1, 2, 3, 3,000 kilometers is your answer. All right, but if we look at it and we go, okay, we just want to do it in one step. If you go divide by 10, divide by 100, divide by 1,000, that is the same as saying divided by. You put all the zeros together, 1,000,000. Notice that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can actually just move 6 places to the left and you would still get 3,000 kilometers. So if you're going in the one direction, you can actually add the zeros together and that's how many places you go. And the same thing goes the other direction. Okay? Any questions? I'm going to give you a couple of ones to try and then we'll go do some more perimeter stuff. This is sort of the thing you need to know first because the first step for any measurement is to make sure that all the units are the same. If you have meters and kilometers in the same question, and we often do it to you because the questions aren't to scale, you're going to get the question wrong. So I just want you to write down like an asterisk. In all measurement questions, make sure the units are the same. What do you do if they're not? Convert them. You can often also pick that, but especially if they're easy questions, by the number of marks, because we'll usually give you a mark for a conversion. So if you suddenly see a really simple question, but it's worth more marks than you think, go, oh, hang on, let's check that, make sure. All right, so can you try to convert the following? It'll be up again in a second.